Hey guys, different today. Today we're going to talk about the family unit. We're going to talk a little bit about politics, not much, and not in the way that you would expect. No names. That's the way that you wouldn't expect. Both sides are awful. So so it would take me 4 hours to tell you what I think about both political parties. But we'll just sum it up with awful. We're going to talk about the family unit, and some things that have changed in the makeup of the family unit that I think has really shaken the foundation of the unit. So I have notes. So we're going to press forward, try to keep this short, and so maybe when this is over, we can have some things to discuss. As always, feel free to like, share, subscribe. If you think this is something that needs to be heard, I'd appreciate hearing from you. It would make my whole day. Not really. I have pretty good days anyway, so, but it wouldn't hurt. All right, so what's the family unit? Again, I'm not here to tell you what your family is supposed to look like, who it's supposed to be comprised of, because your family is your family. And however that family has come into being, that's who you're stuck with. You can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. That's true for the biggest part. But I think there's some things that no matter what the makeup of the family is, that you should be able to get from that family. Starting with food, clothing, and shelter. When you're a child, before you're of working age, you're completely dependent upon those people for those basic necessities. But beyond that, it should be a place where you feel safe. You should feel safe physically and emotionally. You should be, I believe, that you should be able to go to your parents and say whatever dumb thing is rolling around in your little uneducated head, and your parents not yell at you for saying something wrong. That you be supported and that you feel like that you have the liberty to make an educated guess, as far as you know, based on the information you have, on how something works, or this, that, or the other. But you should feel safe and you should feel accepted. It shouldn't be a place where you're criticized for every statement that you make. That up until a certain point. I mean, when you're 17 years old and you're saying that the sky is purple, mom and dad might have to look at you and say, seriously, get your head out of your hind end, dude. It's obviously blue. I was going to say yellow, but then I would just have to edit that out later. That's a joke. It's not yellow. It's blue. You should feel safe. You should feel loved. But of primary importance, it's a place where you learn right from wrong. The family unit is the only part of society that is their task is to teach you moral code. It's not the school's job. It's not your employer's job. It's not your boyfriend, girlfriend. It is your parents' job to teach you right from wrong. It's your parents' job to teach you, or if you're a parent, you're teaching your kids. Again, I have kids. I've still got a mom and dad. We all have a mom and dad at one point or another. Mine are fortunately still with us. They're continually teaching me. There's not been a time in my life when I was not able to rely on my mom and dad. I'm unfortunately unique in that situation. There's not very many people that I know that have had the upbringing that I have, and I'm blessed for that. But in that blessing, I have made it part of who I am and what I do to be there for other people who don't have that kind of support system. We need to realize that someone who comes from a fractured family, and I don't mean divorced, because that sometimes can be good or bad. Nothing worse than a kid seeing mom and dad fight, but that have not had a support system. We need to be there for them. As adults, we need to be there for other people who have not had the kind of support that we had when we were kids. That's part of the giving back. It's the paying it forward kind of concept. Just because you didn't have to go through any of that stuff doesn't mean that you can't show compassion for another human being. My gosh, put yourself in someone else's shoes for once. Get your head out of your butt. Jeez, Merry Christmas. I'm sorry. I spent way too many minutes on Facebook today and listening to far too many stupid statements being made by people saying that politics is going to be the answer to stop all of this wrong behavior that we see individuals partaking in. Well, they should have learned it at home. If they didn't learn it at home, take a minute out of your time. Don't criticize that person, but try to bring that person to a greater understanding of their role in society. It's not about pointing fingers. It's about making usable, plausible solutions for the troubles that we're having in this society. We are a massively fractured society right now. It is a us and them on so many different fronts that it is mind-numbing. I've never seen anything like it. I turned 50 years old in 2 months. I've never seen anything like it. I've been actively following politics since Reagan, okay? This is the worst I have ever seen it for a long period of time. Now, I've seen moments of stupidity where you had some really crazy crap going on. This has been going on for the last 2 years, and it's reprehensible. It's not our job to fix other people. It's our job to fix our people, our family. That's who we're responsible for. We're not responsible for what the person down the street does. We're responsible for what happens in our house. Even the Bible says that judgment starts at the house of God. God's judgment starts in the church. It doesn't start in the world. It starts in the church. Yeah. Rough, isn't it? I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what happens when you read the whole thing, is you find out that, hey, wait, maybe this standard that we're living by isn't actually right. Sorry. I didn't mean to get off on that. It just happens. So the family unit, primary responsibility is to care for and nurture the children that it's raising, to teach them to be functioning members of society. If you're waiting for your school system to teach your kid to be a moral, upstanding citizen, it's too late. If you're sending your kid to kindergarten and little Johnny or little Sarah doesn't have any sense of responsibility or what authority is or who you should listen to and who you shouldn't, I'm sorry. You know, I think it was Chris Rock says if you call your mom Pam and you call your grandma Mama, you're going to jail. It doesn't work. You know, and we're going to touch on some statistics here real quick. It's because we have an entire generation of parents that feel like that they need to relive some lost youth. Is this my opinion? Yeah, because I live in the real world and I leave my house and I don't bury my head in someone else's philosophy and adopt that as my own. I experience the world firsthand and it's pervasive. Parents who have kids who can't be bothered to raise their kids. What's more important? Is there something more important in your life than whether or not your flesh and blood doesn't end up in the backside of the jail for the entire rest of his life because he doesn't know any better or she doesn't know any better? Whose fault's that? You know, it used to be the law, may still be on the books, but I noticed that it's really not enforced anymore, that parents were responsible for the willful misconduct of their minor children. What happened to that standard? Now you see 13-year-olds being tried as adults. How? How is it? Oh, it was such a heinous crime. Well, maybe we need to pull mom and dad in here and put their feet to the fire. Maybe other parents, once they see, this is the whole point of a judicial system and a criminal justice system, is the idea that when someone does something that violates the laws we have set forth, that there's a price to pay for it. But we don't have that anymore. It's, I can't control them. Well, maybe you should have started instilling them with a little bit of concept of right and wrong before you let the media and the school system and their friends teach them what right and wrong is. Did you catch that? That's what we're going to talk about now. Media. So, is the whole society falling apart because of media? Yes and no. I personally find most things that are I honestly don't listen to it. I'm a musician, been one my whole life. Most of what we call modern music, I don't call music. It's dumb. I don't listen to dumb music. Poorly written musicians whose only job it is to play music and they can't be bothered to learn how to play their instrument correctly, or songwriters who are lazy. I car was driving by last night. I was standing out on my porch and heard about 30 seconds of the song, and in that 30 seconds I heard about 25 cuss words. Well, your entire industry is based on the English language and you know 9 words? Where's the talent in that? I don't see the talent in it, and honestly, if you do any studying on the music industry, you'll find out very quickly that it has zero to do with talent, but has everything to do with marketability. That's another video. So, let's look at some stats. So, why does little Johnny or little Susie, why do they not know right from wrong? Do you know how much time the average adult, 35 and older, spends watching TV every night? Every night. 5 hours. 5 hours. You only worked for 8, but then you came home and spent 5 hours plopped in front of the television. Okay? Now, all of these numbers, these are not cumulative, they're in addition to. Okay? So, this was just how much time we watch on TV, pull it up on the internet. I'm not going to try to reference the website because honestly, it referenced like 12 different sites. So, take a little time, learn it from yourself. Learn it for yourself. You'll probably learn something in addition on the way. So, how much time do we spend on our phones? So we got 5 hours watching TV. The average adult over 35 years old spends 2.5 hours with their phone in their hand. So that's the rest of the day before you go to sleep. You got 5 hours of TV, you got 2.5 hours of sitting staring at your phone, and they're specifically separated. It's not watching TV on your phone. It's your phone in your hand on an app, and it's 5 hours watching television. That's 7.5 hours. You worked 8 hours. You spend 7.5 hours entertaining yourself on some media format of one form or another, and then you sleep for 8 hours. So what'd your kid get, 30 minutes? It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. If you take your kids out to a park, what you're going to see is kids running around and mom and dad sitting on a bench with their frickin' phone out. Who's watching your kid? You know, it takes about 45 seconds to a minute and a half to abduct a kid. What planet are you living on that the most important thing to you is how many frickin' likes you got on Facebook? I'm sorry, I'm losing my temper, but I'm sick of it. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for this country. We want to know why we have so much, and I'm just going to say it, there's so much sexual assault in this country is because we have got an entire generation, and I'm talking to the boys, we've got an entire generation of men who think the little head can think for the big head. That used to be a joke. That used to be something that people were admonished for. But now it's supposed to be good because guess what? We're just animals and we can't control it. Well, I can control it. I'm almost 50 years old. I got 3 kids on purpose. How's that? Because I'm a responsible person. I know how this game works. I know what the process is. But unfortunately, what we're teaching our kids through the music, what they're listening to, go to Billboard's top 10 pop songs, read the lyrics to the songs, and if you can keep your frickin' lunch down, I'll give you $1. It's reprehensible what we're listening to. I don't care if it's country, I don't care if it's pop, rap, R&B. It is nothing that a stable society, it is no concepts that a stable society can be built on. Is there occasionally a good song? Yes, of course, there always is. But then you usually find out that the artist that wrote it's a pervert. So one song out of 14 having a moral value to it does not make that person an uplifting, this is not a role model that we need to be allowing our kids to blindly listen to with no correction in what the topic is. Not done yet. Sorry, I'm on the way. All right, so how much time does sorry, this is way longer than I wanted it to be. Oh my God, I got to stop rambling. How much time do you think the average teenager spends with their phone in their hand? I'll give you a second. 9 hours a day. The average teenager spends with their phone in their hand. 9 hours? Why is that okay? Would you let them sit in front of a television for 9 hours? Oh no, but it's okay for them to get on their phone and watch what you can't see for 9 hours. Does that make any sense? Is that parental responsibility? You ready for the next one? This one was my favorite. 8 to 12-year-olds. Prepubescent boys at that age range. And guess what? Yeah, I know I'm picking on boys a lot because honestly, I don't see this being, I don't see girls out attacking men. Okay. 8 to 12-year-olds, on average, 6 hours a day. 6 hours a day with an electronic device in their hand. How is this okay? I'm flabbergasted. Do my kids, my 4-year-old and my 7-year-old, both have their own devices? My oldest, when he was 10 or 11 years old, had a cell phone. Why? Because responsibility was instilled in my children from the day that they were old enough to understand what it was like to take care of something. That if you do certain things, certain actions are bound to happen. Why are we not teaching that anymore? And I'm sorry, this is way too long, but I got to keep going. I'm almost done. I promise. The churches don't teach it. The churches aren't teaching responsibility. What they're teaching is adherence to the denomination. It's not the pastor's, not the pastor's job. It's not the pastor's job, it's not the teacher's job, it's not anybody else's job, but you as a parent to be responsible for how your kid acts. Stop blaming it on what's on YouTube. Stop blaming it for what's on Facebook, because guess what? You gave them the ability to get on those formats. Personal responsibility. Personal responsibility. One more time. Personal responsibility. It is our job, me included, our job as parents to raise our kids to be contributing members of society. It's just that simple. How are we teaching our kids to be responsible when we as adults spend, that we spend the amount of time that we do entertaining ourselves? If you combine the amount of time that adults watch television and the time that they watch social media, it is 13 years of their life. 13 years of your life as an adult are being spent watching social media or television. You didn't go to high school that long. But you're going to spend more time than that on Facebook creating a fake life that everybody knows is not real? I'm sorry, but stop yelling at the politicians for saying or accusing politicians for ruining this country. I would propose to you that the ruination of this country is coming about because of the breakdown of the family unit. Don't disagree, don't disagree. Feel free to comment. I'll respond to anything that you pop out there. But to be honest with you, I think if we really, as parents, would look at where we are in this world and calculate how much time that you spend on these things personally. Not everybody, obviously those are averages, not everybody's going to do that. they're going to be running those amount of hours. But my question is to you, well, how much time are you spending with your kids around you that you're not paying attention to what they're doing? What greater responsibility is there? I love my kids. I'd die for my kids. Well, how about you live for them? How about you do something rather than entertaining yourself, but you focus on your kids? You give your kids the leg up they need to get through this world. This is a crazy, crazy freaking world. There is all kinds of insanity that's going on in this world. We need to raise young men and young women that can stand on their own 2 feet, that can think for themselves, and as I've said before, be contributing members of society. All right. Thanks for listening. I hope I didn't run too many people off. And like I said, feel free to comment. If you disagree with what I'm saying, I'd love to talk to you about it. I don't have all the answers, and maybe you've got something to enlighten me on. But hopefully this will be enough to really challenge us to kind of step up to the plate and be the family that this nation really needs us to be. All right, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.